The iPhone Air comes in 4 different colors, but really 2 main ones, and that's the cloud white and the space black. Now, one of these is going to hold up really well in the next year. The other one is probably going to show some wear and tear, and we're going to talk about why and so much more about the iPhone Air in this video. First, let's talk about the cloud white. This thing is gorgeous, and in the past, I have always went with the silver model. I don't know what it is about this. I just always thought it looked the best. It looks amazing. That shine that it has on the sides from the silver just looks so good. The more that I think about it, it probably all comes down to nostalgia and the fact that the first Apple product I ever had was the original iPod. And this was the color of the iPod. The iPod had that white look with the silver around the edges, and of course the back was silver as well. Like, I'll be completely honest, I never really thought about that until I was making this video. It has to be that. It just looks so good, and it just brings me back to that moment of getting the very first iPod and just the joy and just the fun and the excitement that I had with that device. And this just reminds me of it the more that I look at it, even when I really didn't even realize that that's what was going on. But of course, we're not going to forget about the space black Air as well. Now, it's been a while since I've had a black iPhone. I think the last one that I had was the iPhone 7. They had that jet black color, and that thing looked amazing. I had to have it. It was such an awesome phone to have. Sadly, it had an awful fate. It slipped through a pocket while I was on a roller coaster and its life ended there. Like, it was bad. But this thing just looks so stunning and just stealthy. Like, it just kind of, like, I don't know. Looking at them side by side, for whatever reason, my eyes just feel like that the black one is even thinner than the cloud white. Even though I know that's not the case, it's just the way your eyes work. Now, of course, fingerprints are probably gonna show up more on the black than on the cloud white. So you're not gonna really see, obviously, if you have dirt or something on it, you'll see that on the white, but for the most part, you're not gonna see any kind of fingerprints or smudges or anything like that on the cloud white. And even on the sides of them, I think you're going to see more show up on the space black than the cloud white. But here's the problem as well. So if you look closely, obviously you can see the smudges in this angle, but the black also shows like where you mount it on the MagSafe ring more. And I actually visited the Apple store and those looked awful. And they've been getting a lot of press on those. And apparently a lot of people have been returning, especially both of them, but especially the space black, due to scratching and just the marks that just even using MagSafe is leaving on the back of the space black. Some information from Apple has come out about them messaging employees, showing them how to clean it properly and get most of those smudges off and the markings off. Now, of course, if it is an actual scratch, it's gonna still scratch and it's gonna show up way more than on the cloud white. You're not gonna see it as much on something like this as you will on the space black. The same goes with the metal ring around the MagSafe. I guess they've gotten some kind of plastic covering for those as well, because that could scratch it depending on how you lift up from the phone. So just note that if you do decide to go with the space black, that is something you're going to have an issue with. Not just fingerprints, but possible scratching, especially scratches that look more visible on the space black than on the cloud white. So you may be wondering, if that's the case, then why would anybody pick the space black? And I'm going to go ahead and tell you now, I am picking the space black. Why is that? Like, I originally picked the cloud white. That is why I have both of these right now, because I thought, you know, I'm going to go with the one that I always go with. But then I saw a video by a fellow YouTuber, Instagrammer, Ren, and in it, he showed the magnetic leather back on the space black iPhone Air. And I was sold instantly. Like, it looked so good on this device, the way the leather looked, but then also the corner area up top just blended in perfectly with the camera. It looks amazing. And of course, it's back ordered. You can't get them right now. They're just really hard to get. I've even looked on eBay. Like, I want this thing as quickly as possible because it just looks so good on the iPhone Air. It's not this bulky case that's going to ruin the feel of the Air. It's super slim. It doesn't cover the sides, anything like that. I've tried some cases on this, and that's the problem with the Air. Like, this is a phone that you really just don't want to put a case on because it's going to ruin it. Like, I've tried multiple cases, and all of them pretty much just add the same thickness of the regular phone. It's like, why do that? Why have an Air, put a case on it, and then have it feel like a regular? That makes no sense. Like, if you ever see somebody with an iPhone Air with a full out case on, and they're not like in an amusement park or something like that where they might have just put it on that day, like, just like slap them. Just slap them across the face and tell them they're dumb. Not really. Don't do that because I don't want you to get sued because I love you. But this just looks amazing. It feels amazing. Every time I switch to the Pro, the first thing I notice is just how thick this thing is. Obviously, it's thicker than they ever made. I love the orange color. I really do. But every time I switch to this, I'm like, I miss the Air. Like, it's so weird. It's so crazy that it's because this one's obviously not as good. People hate the speakers. Like, they think they sound awful, and they don't sound the best. You only get one camera. You get all these limitations with this. But it is so amazing, and I absolutely love it. And Nomad actually makes two different cases for this device. I'm planning on getting both, and I'm going to make videos on both of them. They have the traditional leather case, which still has the sides exposed, but it covers the top and the bottom and the corners. And then they have the magnetic leather back, which I've already talked about and is absolutely amazing. And I can't wait to get my hands on it, especially on the black. And that is why I decided to go to the black. That's it. There's no like rhyme or reason. It's not like, I just love the black more. Like, I mean, this does look amazing. It looks like a solid piece of glass as you look at it from the front, where of course the cloud white, you see the silver, you can kind of see where the screen ends and where the device begins. You don't see that as much with the space black, but you're gonna have those scratches. You're gonna have issues. You're gonna have fingerprints. You're gonna have all this other stuff. But once I saw those cases, once I saw the magnetic leather back on the space black iPhone Air, I had to have it. I had to have this one. It just looked so good, and I just can't wait to have it. So let's talk about real world uses. So if you're in the market for the iPhone Air and you can't decide, and maybe you could care less about the case, which one should you get? Well, they're both gonna feel about the same. I honestly think this one has a little bit more grip to it than this one. This one feels smoother. It may just be these two phones. It may not be anything really, but they honestly do. For me, this one feels a little smoother, a little more slippery, where this one just has a little bit more grit to it. That was the first thing I noticed as soon as I unboxed the space black one. But of course, if you're worried about scratching your phone and you don't want to wear a case and you want it to look new after the year, your best bet is going to be this cloud white. I think it's going to hold up way better. Yes, the scratches could still happen on the side. It is titanium on the side. I remember the stainless steel was scratched really easy. The titanium, like, I never had the polished because the old style was not so much polished. So, but this is an iPhone 16 Pro, and I've never really noticed too many scratches on this. Obviously, this is the natural titanium, so it's a deeper, darker color, but I don't know, maybe titanium's just a little bit stronger with scratching than the stainless steel was. So, but you could still get some scratches. I still think they'll be way less noticeable because you do have the potential to scratch through this color coating that is on this one, and then you'll actually see something closer to the silver color. So if you need that peace of mind of scratches and everything else, the cloud white is probably the way to go. But if you want a phone that looks amazing, that looks like a solid piece of glass more than ever before, just with how thin it is and everything else, then obviously the space black is your best option. But I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Am I completely insane? Do you see why I'm deciding on this? Have you decided if you're getting the iPhone Air or the Pro? Let me know all this in the comments below. And if you want to see my iPhone 17 Pro after 2 weeks video, click right here. Or if you want to see some videos on the Apple Watch Ultra 3, click right here. I hope you have a great rest of your day. God bless.